Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a Monday night slate to kick off the week. We got 6 games tonight for you guys. In this one, we're taking a look at the Bucks. They are in New York at the Garden, taking on those fiery hot Knicks. Both teams playing pretty well as of very recently. We'll take a look at that one. Got another one and our player props up for you today, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Also want you to head to thelines.com. That's where you can check out all the great written content, everything we're talking about here in the NBA up there for you guys, and our odds finder tool. You can use that to make sure you're getting the best juice back across all these sports books, offering you guys NBA bets this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into the 6-game slate and then talk about our game, Bucks and Knicks.
Yep. First one's a pick 'em here. Pelicans +1 at the Wizards. Of course, Pels without Zion. Wizards still without Beal. You said the Bucks are playing well, but I don't think that's really been the case in terms of their results. They are though still slight favorites, -1.5 right now at the Knicks with a 221 total. The Bulls, who have beaten the Celtics twice this season, are +8.5 though in Boston. Highest total there, 238. Highest total on the East Coast. Still a very, very high total, though, for good reason, but tough line to pick, so we're not talking that game. Spurs are +11 at Memphis, also 238 total. The other game we break down, Lakers are +10 at Denver, and that is the highest total at 241 here tonight. And then the Magic +6 at Kings. Yeah, I mean, the Bucks, we're really struggling, pulled out a gritty win over Toronto, and then, one of the most puzzling results of the season, I guess, or just kind of unexpectedly crazy that they were 10-point favorites at home against Charlotte and wind up losing by about 30. I mean, it was like Clippers, they took a page out of the Clippers book, right, and just yanked the starters in the first half, basically. We're like, okay, we don't have it tonight. On to the next one. And they do have 2 full days off before said next one against the Knicks, a team they've now beaten 4 times in a row, beat twice this year in some pretty, bruising, low-scoring games, as you might expect for these teams. The first one did go over. Second one got to 212. And so we have a pretty low total here of 221. And, of course, the Bucks are still a bad offensive team on the road, which is why, if this was in Milwaukee, total would probably be 231, I think we could say. It would be about 10-point difference. You're starting to see some signs of life, though, from the Bucks on the road in terms of opening it up more. I mean, they did have a 118 offensive rating when they went to New York last. They had a 124 rating in a win at New Orleans, and then pretty good numbers at Boston, at Cleveland, even at Brooklyn, which has been, one of the better defenses in the league right now. And the pace has gone up a little bit. And I think most importantly here, their defense has been worse on the road as well. 118 defensive rating in their last 7. And part of that's skewed by facing Toronto, which just literally couldn't score. By the way, New York's last game against Toronto did manage to go over. They had a 118 defensive rating against maybe the worst half-court offense in the league. New York has now gone over an 8 of 10, kind of had their lines set under the expectation that how they want to win is holding teams below 105, right? We've talked about how they're undefeated in that situation. In basically any game that goes below 220, they look like they're going to win. And they were able to shut down Houston and Phoenix and go under. But other than that, I mean, they did not shut down the Spurs. They go to 231 with the Spurs. And I mean, the Bucks are obviously pretty impossible to shut down when Giannis has it going. I mean, he can be a one-man band and just do his thing, and that's going to kind of drive scoring in these games. And so when I went and looked back at their last few games with 2+ days off, saw what happened. Over in 3 of their last 4, games averaging 238. Giannis averaging 41 points per game and shooting about 60% from the floor. And not only does he have 2 days off, he basically didn't play against Charlotte. He played 22 minutes. Right. He was probable with the knee issue, but he's had to manage that ridiculous workload that he's been handling. And so they gave him some early rest. And so now he comes into this one. And I also like the fact that both these teams have something to prove here. I mean, the Bucks, just whoever they're playing, they got to get on track. They got to prove that they can win. And the Knicks, just to like get off this big brother scenario where they just can't seem to beat the Bucks, and that even though both teams have the same similar strengths, good defending paint points, good limiting twos. I should say though the Bucks are dead last limiting twos on the road. So I think Jalen, Julius Randle, who you're taking an under in player props, I'll just throw a little sneak peek out there. I am not on board with that. I think Julius is going to have a good game. I think Giannis is, of course, going to have a huge game, and that's going to drive enough points to get over 220.
You think Julius is going to be the one to have the huge game for the Knicks? I mean,
easy 30 right now.
I mean, dude has been killing it last 10 with like 30 points a game, 12 and a half boards a game. I was going to bring up how good he's been playing in my player props and lead it off with that, and then tell you guys sneaky segue to my under, because it's just such a bad matchup for him right now. That's really all that I see. Like, I'm kind of buying. Okay, there's two trains of thought here. Buy into what's happened in this series, the last 4 matchups that have just been completely owned by the Bucks in a very specific way, right? Like they're winning by just playing good defense all over the floor. If the Knicks aren't able to hit threes, at least in the games that they've been playing in these matchups, the Knicks haven't been as good from 3. It's really just closed everything else up for them. And that was also, to be fair, at a time, at least back in October, when the Knicks were still, sort of playing with that last year's style of play, trying to put up a lot of threes, not very good spacing between RJ Barrett and Julius Randle, and so that was a big reason for everything being clogged up, and sort of Milwaukee being able to stifle what New York's offensive game plan was in the way that they were trying to score. Move forward to today, and there is no RJ Barrett, and Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, as we've been speaking about when we called them beating the Raptors, which they did a few days ago on the road. That was all, a result of incredible spacing on offense between those two guys. It is a little bit of your turn, my turn, but they're still running sets for them to get them in their spots wide open. So, like, great, your turn, my turn with Julius Randle on the wing, 1-on-1 from 17 feet away, or Jalen Brunson from literally anywhere on the floor because he's so quick and efficient in all those spots. Like, yeah, you're going to be fine with that. So that would be the other train of thought here, is this isn't the same matchup without RJ Barrett in there, and without, Tibbs just sort of forcing forcing the Knicks to really run with older players, Evan Fournier and Derrick Rose being the two that get beat up on in these conversations the most. And Fournier's been getting back out there in a bench role in serviceable minutes that make a lot more sense for someone his age and skill set. And he's been hitting open threes as a result. And Julius Randle has actually been assisting a lot of those. But I would say in this one, what I'm going to believe in here is Milwaukee's defense. I'm going to continue to buy into the fact that the reason they stop a guy like Julius Randle is that's where their defense is strongest. It's in the exact spots that Julius wants to score, because you've got Giannis and company limiting opposing power forwards, to the fifth least points, rebounds, and assists per game in all those categories. Because once you get into that 17-foot area, you've got to deal with Giannis, and then you've got to, by the time you get to the paint, you've got to deal with Brook Lopez, and obviously Bobby Portis has been in there, and then if Drew Holiday is also going to be up top on certain switches. If he's guarding Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle want to run that pick and roll, Drew Holiday on Julius Randle from 18 feet away is still a pretty good defensive matchup, as much as anybody else is going to be. And then, like I said, if Julius wants to drive into that paint, he's going to be met with 2 7-footers with, freakishly long arms. So that style of play is the reason that I feel better about Julius specifically. And I think it also just tends to, lend itself to the thought that if Julius and that sort of, his offensive efficiency and players' ability to play off of him is not going to be as high, then you just don't feel as good as the Knicks being able to score that many points. And that is where, I'm a little bit tentative with that over as well. I think this is a Milwaukee win. I think this is a good spot to sort of fade the Knicks. Everyone's actually seems to be on the Knicks, as this opened right at about +3.5, +4 in some places for the Knicks, and it's already down to +1 for them as we record this on Monday morning. So, I think there should be belief the other way. I'm happy to fade all those bets on the Knicks in this one, and I think this is a bad spot for them to try to pull out another win.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I like the Bucks as well. I just started to find enough in my research to say this total's a little low. I think there are some scenarios that get you there. Mainly, some positive regression in terms of recent results between these teams. Nobody can hit a three. Nobody can get to the line very consistently. Like Giannis, only 11 free throws for him. That's a lot lower than you would expect. Again, when you look at his numbers, when he gets a little more rest this year, the Bucks being 9-4 to the over after a loss, and this just being a bounce back spot. Also, them allowing 6 more paint points on the road versus at home, and the Knicks being dead last in transition D this season in terms of efficiency on transition D. So, yeah, I mean, Bucks could pull away here. I mean, if you are kind of scared about the Knicks offense and you're with Josh on like a Julius Randle under, then you might take the Bucks team total at 110. I just think they're going to bounce back enough. They're probably going to win this game. And so I'm looking at Giannis's props, 31.5 points, still going over that. And maybe, some some player performance doubles with the Bucks getting the win, because they obviously need 30, 35 from him every time out right now with Chris Middleton still out.
Yeah, fair. And it's really going to be a matter of how is that Bucks defense going to show up on the road in this one? Like we were talking about, them being able to guard the 3 so well is big for this team. But it's also going to be a matter of that mid range and the paint. And there have been times this year where Milwaukee's been susceptible in the paint. They're still not even in the top half of the league right now on the road anyway. In their last 10, their defensive efficiency in the paint really, really bad. So that would be an opportunity for Julius. But look, I mean, he's been scoring about 14 a game in his last 4 or 5 against the Bucks for a reason. And it's maybe a night where you can expect a little bit more choppiness and grossness. Even though the Knicks have been scoring a few more points at home, they've been playing a little bit faster pace, but it actually over the course of their win streak recently and in that time frame, they've actually been a lot better on the road, as we've seen in what we talked about in that Toronto Raptors game as well. So we'll see what that means tonight. Like we said, the offensive efficiency has been better at home, but not as of super late. So interesting one either way. That's all the time we have for you guys. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. And until we see you next, happy betting.